This is Michael W. Ford. I didn't have a video last week. I was going through a series of workings and preparing some other projects, including works with Luciferian Apotheca for forthcoming projects and so forth. This week, I want to, this is based on a question or a suggestion that one of our viewers has, which is concerning a little more detail about the Watchers from my work at the Grimoire Fallen Angels. So I thought I would kind of go into that a little bit and try to touch on some areas that I would deem really more important than other ones. Now I want to point out concerning the Watchers, and this is from the Book of Enoch, Enoch 1 and the 69th chapter, which gives detail on the nature of the Watchers. I want you to understand this work was written or brought together during the period of the Maccabee revolts, which was an uprising against the Seleucid Hellenistic Syrian king, or Basileus, Antiochus IV, Nikephoros Theos Epiphanes, which means Antiochus IV, bearer of victory, the God manifest. So much concerning left-hand path and Luciferian magical workings and theories behind it. I really uncovered slowly and validated it through the structure that was found in aspects of theurgy, Hermeticism, but also found in the Hellenistic ruler cult, which began after the death of Alexander the Great in the 300s BC. And Luciferianism utilizes many aspects of the Hellenistic ruler cult and the Roman imperial cult of the genii or genius, the daemon. And that was taken and put, instead of towards a governmental, political, religious role, it was adapted to the individual as a left-hand path practitioner, Luciferian. And the formulation in doing that created an immense amount of, it made a lot of things make sense. So let's understand, I'm not going to go into the overall legends. There are numerous legends on fallen angels, on Satan, the revolt, Lucifer. And I'm not going to go into all of those. I just want to focus really on the Book of Enoch in relation to fallen angels. Now, the Watchers within this grimoire and in performing ceremonies and workings with the Watchers, it is important that you don't expect to invoke a Watcher, to summon a Watcher forth, to rise from the pit, to then talk to you. It's not that type of gnosis to open. What is important is the impulses, the inspiration from the visualizations and the focus and drawing inward of those energies relating to the Watchers. That is the demonic centrifuge of what would become illumination and apotheosis. So focus specifically on the aspects of the Watchers as they're presented, because it's very easy to get off course and into more advanced areas that you might not be ready for, wanting, or really focused towards. So the Book of Enoch, the sons of El, they're called Beni Elohim, which is Hebrew, was an ancient term that became known in the Canaanite city of Ugarit and in late Judaic lore as the Hebrews took over the Canaanite cult from Ugarit and the Canaanite cities. Yahweh became assimilated with El. The Aramaic of Watchers, Irin, Irin we Quadishin, is a term for these specific celestial spirits within the Enoch cosmology. The Grigori, which is also the Greek for watchers, it represents watchful, being awake and on guard. In some later Enoch texts, the watchers dwelled in the fifth heaven prior to the fall. After, they dwelled in the third heaven, or Sheol, and Dudiel, which is the desert abyss. The watchers, as Beni Elohim, sons of El, were incorporated in this Jewish mysticism and what was developing and spreading out in more of a magical sense with various sects within Judaism in the late Hellenistic period. Now, the Watchers, the myth is, they descended to Earth in the days of Jared, which is, goes back to the myth. And these Watchers, in descending to Mount Hermon, 200 of them made an oath and utilized a magical oath and bond, which would grant them greater power and really allowed them to indulge within the world. And the myth is that they, under leadership of Yaquan, the Watcher, who would lead them, quote, astray or liberate them, down to earth to join with the daughters of men. The Watcher Caspiel, counseled this spirit, all of the spirits in this plan that would defile their bodies with them. The son of the serpent, Tabayet, produced the gematria, the number of the chief of days for Caspiel, revealing the sum of the oath of the angels when they dwelt in the heavens. Its name was Bika, or Bikwa. The Watcher Caspiel, the chief executor of the powerful oath, revealed it to the other angels. Now, this Caspiel, and known as a Satan, told the archangel Michael to show him the hidden name, to pronounce it in an oath, so that the secret might make the children of men tremble before the name and oath. This a suggestion of the power and the names of power, the importance of that in magical invocation. Now, they're organized in what's called decadarchs, which they're named as Shemyaza, Artuquif, Ramtiel, Kokabil, Azazel, etc. Each one has, as I discovered through the research and then applying that to my initiatory workings, demonstrated a true knowledge and strength which united the ancient pre-Judeo-Christian world and the satanic symbolism found in what we collectively call Lucifer, the morning star. In many of my mentionings of Lucifer, I'm often symbolically including all of the Watchers in various manifestations. The mountain that's mentioned in Enoch is Mount Hermon. Now, this is an actual considered sacred and equally cursed mountain, um, to which the fallen angels descended and took human form, to then join with the daughters of Cain. Now, Mount Hermon is known through the Hellenistic period to have numerous temples, inscriptions, etc., including a cave structure with a old temple of Pan at Argatis, which is a Syrian incarnation of Astaroth or Astarte, Zeus, and of course the anonymous god of Mount Hermon, which is the Watcher, Armoros or Hermione. Now, being a center of syncretic mythology, which united Jewish and Christian myths of the Nephilim and Watchers, brought in the tale connections to their offspring from the joining of spirit, the Beni Elohim, the Watchers, with the daughters of Cain, daughters of man, on earth. That united union was considered forbidden, and it went against the natural order. Now, keep in mind, this type of method is what gave birth to the legend of Jesus in that union. Now, prior to the myth of Jesus, numerous rulers, kings, heroes of old would have traits that they would identify with specific deities as being their father. And this is known in the Alexander legends, the Seleucids with Apollo, Dionysus, Heracles with Ptolemy, and it goes on and on. So that's nothing new. Now, what occurs in this type of union? It beget the Nephilim, who were giants, and basically that could refer to, they could be tall, but it could also be refer to a warrior-like people, like you had around the Bronze Age period of the Mycenaean culture, and then the Sea Peoples from the fall of Troy in that period. Those were warriors who lived by that oath of earning a great name for themselves, to be immortal in that sense. Now, within context, the initiatory context of fallen angels, the Luciferian initiatory path is utilizing the symbolism of a specific fallen angel, a watcher, invoked within yourself, the energy. That begetting gives a type of apotheosis, a gradual apotheosis towards identification as a Nephilim, which the Nephilim provide a very interesting supernatural aspect, in the sense that at their death, their spirits left these bodies to become variants of possessing demons and just spirits that were called evil spirits that would prey upon humanity, the sullen Enoch. So let's, in that sense, that's something that goes much deeper into the initiatory workings within fallen angels. You can find it if you know how to look for it within the grimoire, and of course the title under cacophonic apotheosis, which is the daemon going into this astral projection and shadow sense. Now, the Watcher, Shemyaza. Shemyaza and Azazel are interchangeable, really, in Enoch. And it's still important to invoke each separately. And I say that because there are elements within the sigils, the elements and the names relating to the watcher in question, and what you seek to invoke to become inspired and utilize the energy to gain that knowledge and power of. So, as one of the leaders of the Watchers, Shemyaza teaches enchantments and root cuttings. That is basic witchcraft. That is understanding will, desire, belief, how to apply the 11 points of power, how the subtle, almost nondescript and mundane aspects of magic on the very smallest point are all a part of what Shemyaza inspires. This is a part of the Luciferian Path. And it begins small, and it builds through your acceleration of initiation, through your validations, through your achievements, through your failures. You begin to understand this aspect of the Luciferian spirit. So Shemyaza, also Amazarak, if you know some of the black magic Goetia works of the Middle Ages, Shemyaza's name translates, he sees the name, or Sem seeth. And the name is often a substitute for the name of a deity. The name associated with Shemyaza is the Phoenician god of vegetation and healing, Ishman. In working with Shemyaza, and in this work, I give a lot of details and cross-referencing to the lore and how, in later Jewish legend, Shemyaza is indeed an alternate name to Samael and Mestima, as Abisi Thibod, which is found in the Demons of Solomon work, the father devoid of counsel. Shemyaza is described as a seraph, or seraphim, who was tempted by the maiden Ishtar to reveal the name of power, which allowed her to ascend. Later, Shemyaza hangs upside down between heaven and earth as the constellation Orion, the hunter. Now, Shemyaza has two Nephilim sons that are written, Hiwa and Haya. Haya is, and not Haya, but Hia, was a Phoenician or a Canaanite sea deity that is mentioned in some incantations from the period. Shemyaza is the patron of magicians and sorcerers. And in understanding the roles of nature and the Dionysic streams of the primordial instinct and the passion of higher intellect and our higher faculties, allows us to master within ourselves the process of magic. Shemyaza is a long-term patron of the Luciferian path, especially within the witchcraft aspect. Azazel, fallen angel who taught the making of weapons, armor, and seductive arts. Now, I'm not going to go into the vast elements of Azazel in other associating traditions, but I'm going to point out that in Canaanite lore, the god of death, Mot, who was the son of El, was given the epithet of Mot is fierce, or a strong god. Azazel is understood to translate a strong god, strength of El, Asael, A-S-A-E-L, meaning El has made. In later traditions, the Arabic goddess Aluza is attributed to the planet Venus and the warlike passions. The Arabic Deific Mask of Venus as the morning and evening star was the Aramaic and Canaanite Atar, or Athtar in southern Arabia, Ashtar, also associated with Ashtar Chemosh, of a kind of male counterpart of the Mesopotamian Ishtar. Now, there are two sigils of Azazel in Fallen Angels, and one is for the sigil of Azazel with antimony relating to Saturn and copper relating to Venus for balanced workings of creativity. That is towards fashioning your design in life and what you wish to attain from that knowledge. Azazel fashions weapons and instructs and teaches how to make weapons and self-defense tools. And it's important to not think in it as a literal, like what happened, 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago. Was this a real thing? No, look at it in the under the veil, which is in an initiatory sense. What does the making of weapons and armor reflect to me, to the individual? And that could be the sharpness of your mind, also literal self-defense, understanding that weapons are merely a tool and are nothing compared to the mind that directs them. So it's important to be cognizant of your thoughts and your actions, as they always have consequence. Azazel also instructed and taught the arts of beautification, of makeup, of various gems and stones. And that is kind of a glamour, or knowing how you want to project yourself. How do you want to put yourself within a certain environment or community for goals that you may have. Think of the Watchers in this sense as outside the boundaries of casual time, not in a linear sense, but always occurring. Always occurring. And what I mean by that is what they're doing now in your instructions is just as then, and it's on and on. Azazel is the Lord of the Forge, the instructor of Tubal-Cain, and within witchcraft, these roles relate to his gift of the black flame to the elect, or those of witch blood. Now, the two sigils of Azazel can be worked in that way, and there are numerous invocations that can be used to seek Azazel. Is Azazel destructive? Yes. Is Azazel, does that energy represent creativity as well? Yes. There's a balance there, and it's important to understand the specific deific mask of Azazel that you wish to invoke. That's important, because there's a therionic or beast-like demonic manifestation of Azazel, and then there is the Watcher, Hellenistic, the fallen angel aspect, or the Luciferian aspect of Azazel. We have Gadriel, who teaches the art of war, conflict. He's more an extreme energy than Azazel, but can be utilized in balance with Azazel towards martial workings of understanding who you are and overcoming conflicts. Arakiel, who teaches the signs and auguries of the earth, and that's understanding omens in nature, by interactions with animals, by things that appear to you that you find, or something that interacts with you that instantly like touches your consciousness, your psyche, and you understand for yourself that's an omen towards, or an answer towards, what you feel you must do next upon your path. Kokabeel this is the watcher of astrology, the angel of the blazing star. And that's understanding constellations, astrology, to your own, whatever you find intuitive or inspiring that way. Tamiel or Kasade, astronomy, smiting enemies. Aspiel or Caspiel, a very sinister yet powerful watcher who imparted with the angels to illuminate humanity. Now, giving humanity these gifts, it's not their interest or authority or even desire to make humanity evolve and do good things. It's the choice. It's the right of self-will, free will. What do you do with that? Now, the destructive aspect is within our psyche. You see it everywhere. So there's a balance between rational self-interest, the intellect, and actually manifesting and balancing that destructive aspect. So focusing on that builds an isolate consciousness, which really reveals all of the methods that ruling powers, governments, and religions use, and even the media especially, to control thought and narratives, to create things where there was nothing. They use collectively, even if they don't call it that, a form of lesser black magic or sorcery. And Luciferianism allows you to become awake, to observe all of those things, to understand that you can make better choices and be aware of what you're doing, to varying degrees of rebellion. Ramiel, the fallen angel, who teaches the secrets of the storms of earth, volcanic fires. Ezekiel, the knowledge of clouds, meteorology, element of air, very important in magical workings, the elements. And many of the other watchers go on to varying methods of inspiration and instruction. Now, you'll see the invocation ceremonies within fallen angels as being a very structured goetic style invocation to which you empower the sigil, invoke the watcher, and work with it for a period of time. And after a designated period that you'll set, you can then move on to something else. This is the nature, the intensive work of Luciferian magic as it is, and how the watchers, by what people call fallen angels or demons, actually are benefactors and patrons to those who are able to see past the veil. There's a separate point I wanted to make in consideration to the watchers and working with them from a Luciferian perspective. The Circle of the Decadarchs, which is the great circle with the names of each watcher surrounding it, is really a center focus for the Black Adept in invocation. Each name has a specific type of energy that it inspires, and in encircling you, in very much the concept of the Ouroboros, Leviathan, serpent, dragon, within outside of the circle. The names of the watchers themselves hold keys to those specific celestial, aerial, and powers which manifest within our cosmos. Every living human has a potential of some sort. in exalting the black flame? What are you doing with your gift of consciousness? And the types of workings with these sigils, these talismans presented in the grimoire, fallen angels, are specifically designed to recall the ancient traditions, but also within a modern Luciferian context. We are spiritually lawless in the sense that we hold allegiance, or we do not bow to any other exterior force. Honoring and the patronage of a deific mask, spirit, or demon, fallen angel, whatever you call it, is a mutual reciprocal journey. And you will be tested, and you will be tempted, and your design and focus in life will hold great results depending on how strong you are internally, of your iron will and your total investment in will, desire, belief during your invocations. Remember, suspending disbelief within the ritual chamber, within those sacred moments of invocation, are paramount. And what you do after the ceremony, how you approach others, and whether you discuss your practices or not, that's up to you. A rational, logical approach will take the forefront, but within your own ritualistic space, your own magical mind, if you will, that is the complete suspension of disbelief and the embrace of the other.